Okay, looks like we are live now here on Facebook and YouTube, everybody. I've got everything all queued up. Going to talk about Aldon Smith going to the Seattle Seahawks. Good call there. Seattle, Jadeveon Clowney signs, in my opinion, a team-friendly deal for the surging Cleveland Browns. Aaron Donald has a complaint filed against him for punching a guy in the face. We'll talk about how nothing good happens after midnight, and never underestimate the size of the dog you're fighting, but the size of the fight in the dog. But first, 5 years ago, 2 weeks from now, we will have the NFL draft, everybody. And Justin Fields is the guy that's being talked about. He had his pro day coming up this week. But 5 years ago, Laremy Tunsil. Do any of you remember that one time Laremy Tunsil, left tackle for the Miami Dolphins, was traded to the Houston Texans, was the unanimous number 1 overall pick prior to draft night. I'm going to draw the similarities, not 100%, but there's some similarities there. This is in Rappaport on a flashback of draft night 2016.
Red, of course, the Ravens were not the only team to take Laremy Tunsil off the board. This clearly changed some teams' evaluation of him. Now, a couple details about this video of Tunsil taking a bong hit out of a gas mask that someone posted to his Twitter account. First of all, I'm told it was several years old, potentially as many as 5 years old for Laremy Tunsil. I'm also told that he passed all of his drug tests at Ole Miss. Now, teams did know that he had some off-the-field issues. They are not.
Okay, Laremy Tunsil. I'm a Tennessee Titans fan. The Titans had that number 1 pick. They traded it. They needed a left tackle. They traded that pick. Now, Laremy Tunsil fell all the way to 13. You heard what Ian Rappaport said. He said teams are taking him off the board. Remember what I said to you guys a few weeks ago? Chris Sims said that the guy, because we've been wondering for the longest, here's the similarities, the longest from last summer all the way up to about January, February, that it was supposed to be Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, and maybe Trey Lance. Possibly Mac Jones would be at the end of the first. Nobody was even talking about Zach Wilson. And then Chris Sims a couple of weeks ago said that there are reports that people are saying that's worked on the coaching staff that he has work ethic issues and he has problems making reads. That is as big as bomb drop as in my opinion, as a guy like Laremy Tunsil, who was seen with a gas mask on the night of draft. I don't know if it's, I've read several stories, mainly saying it was his stepdad and everything. But if you look now, Laremy Tunsil right now, he's made 2 Pro Bowls. He fell from number 1 overall pick potential to 13. And since then, he's fooled everybody. First of all, from that Ole Miss team, he turned out to be he was better than Condensky. He was better than the wide receiver, Treadwell. He turned out to be the best prospect on that Ole Miss team. You know? So he fell all the way to 13th just because that gas mask ended up going off. But for Justin Fields, this is a similar situation. And if you're a Justin Fields family member, if you're a Justin Fields who's watched SportsSkope, thank you, Justin. Here's something to hang your hat on a positive note, folks. Other players who have fell in the draft who turned out to be great. They fell in good situations. Should I say Aaron Rodgers fell in the 20s? Alex Smith was drafted over him by the 49ers. Ben Roethlisberger was the third quarterback in 2004 draft. Nobody ever heard of him. Everybody was talking about Phillip Rivers and Eli Manning. We all know what happened there. Roethlisberger had been to 3 Super Bowls. The other guy's only been to 2. Patrick Mahomes fell to 10th. He's doing pretty good. He's MVP, Super Bowl MVP. Deshaun Watson fell to 12th. Forget about the charges and the accusations. This guy's got he's got the highest quarterback rating in the NFL. People were fighting over him before these allegations came out. And Josh Allen fell to 7th when he was supposed to be the number 1 overall pick. There were questions about his accuracy. There was some leak about him saying a racial remark when he was 15 years old. That was like 24 hours before the draft. So there were some maturity issues there that were talked about. He ends up calling Stephen A. Smith and texting him saying, I was a kid. I apologize. I was 15. I was way underage. Let's see. So there's a lot of good players here. And by the way, folks, I just read a few minutes ago, Mike Florio from Pro Football Talk, now that Justin Fields has had his second pro day with Kyle Shanahan second, that now Justin Fields is the betting favorite to go number 3 overall behind Trevor Lawrence and Zach Wilson. So we'll see how this plays out. But I think the Laremy Tunsil to 13 is a good that was going to be great. And then some kind of news that really shakes teams up. And then the guy turns out to be a pretty good player. A lot of times when that happens, that's simply not the case, too. If you see a guy, I remember there were some issues about Adam Pac-Man Jones in a bar fight at West Virginia. The Titans said they looked into it. They poo-pooed it. He fell to 6th. Tennessee drafted him over Antrell Roll, a guy who never got in trouble. And the rest is history. The guy was suspended for a season and a half on 2 different occasions. Yeah, some people are still talking about that, Carlos. So, if you're Justin Fields, all might not be lost. The Laremy Tunsil is a good example of that. Okay, another big story nobody is talking about. My dad, not my dad, well, he had a say in here too, but Herm Edwards, great coach Herm Edwards said, nothing good happens after midnight. He said, nothing good happens after midnight. You talk about a potentially a big story that's been swept under the rug in Pittsburgh. Sunday night, a man has filed a police report against Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald for hitting him in the eye. If you've seen the picture of it, his eye looks like a softball. He looked like he got hit in the face with a baseball or a fast pitch softball. His face is swollen up really bad. And it was, guess what? It was at 3 o'clock in the morning. The NFL is going to be investigating this, I'm sure. And also they're investigating. Now, this is stemmed over from last month. Wide receiver Clay Chasepool was in a bar fight. Guess what? They were all after around 3 a.m. And you know something? I tell you what. There is another old saying that my dad used to tell me this. It's not the size of the dog you're fighting. It's the size of the fight in the dog. There was a viral video speaking, and Sean Marion, by the way, says he doesn't know anybody that would want to assault Aaron Donald. Now, Aaron Donald, 3-time Defensive Player of the Year, arguably the best defensive player in the game. Here's the thing about Aaron Donald. He's only about 6'1", and he weighs he's only about 6'1". He's anywhere from 240 to 255. There's some defensive ends, Carlos Pickles, that are either 6'4", 6'5". Some of are tackles. They can weigh over 300 pounds. By the way, this guy, Aaron Donald, he squeezes through two men, offensive linemen, that are often well over 300 pounds. He's doubled every single week. But it was a 3 a.m. deal. I say this because there's been a flood of small guys beating the crap out of big guys that have gone viral on these internet. And Pat McAfee says, for one thing, it's because of so many people taking up MMA tactics and everything. And he says you got to be really careful. McAfee was a big beer drinker. That's his words, not mine. Former NFL player, former punter. But there was also a video from last month. Some of you may have noticed this, that Spencer Jones, wide receiver from Franklin, Tennessee here, was in a bar fight. Looked like this was back around February, right around Valentine's Day. He followed this guy, Walker Brown, and his brother Braden, him and this other guy, into a restroom around in Norman, Oklahoma. And it looked like they were being the aggressor. They were this current Oklahoma Sooner wide receiver is well over 6 foot tall. He's a pretty thick guy. Walks up to a guy about my height, about 5'8", maybe a little bit more than me. I weigh about 165, 170. The guy looked like he had a busted nose. This is a viral video. This was a month old, but he said some curse words at him, and the guy that walked in with Spencer Jones, the Oklahoma wide receiver, pushed this guy, Braden Walker's brother, and then the rest is history. Walker punched him in his left side of his face. He hit him with the right. He body slammed. This guy had MMA fighting training. He almost knocked his eye socket out, Pickles. And his other brother, little bitty guy, slams this other guy. It was a really bad fight. Spencer Jones, a player, almost lost his eye. He had to have emergency surgery. I actually reached out to Walker to see if I could get him to come on the program. He didn't answer. It looks like law enforcement's not going to press charges or anything like that. I guess he didn't want to. He ignored my texts or tweets because he probably thought, well, maybe there could be some civil litigation there. But my point is, nothing good happens after 3, and watch who you walk up on. I mean, you guys got to be careful, some of you younger guys. And to top everything off, I made a note. There's a Walmart video, Pickles, of a guy that is my height, Pickles, Carlos. I'm 5'8". I'm anywhere from 167 to 172, depends on how much junk I eat. And there was a guy that went. There's a video went viral about 2 weeks ago. This they were both black guys. It was in Walmart. This was during the day, and the guy was about my height. Was arguing with a guy that looked like former Oakland Raider, Pickles, Bruce Allen. He's an offensive lineman. He was a big guy, and he was charging the guy my height. And to sum everything up on this other viral video, the guy my height beat the crap out of this guy. He knocked him down 3 times, and a woman had to break it up. And this guy, Bruce Campbell, former Oakland Raider, Nevada, Las Vegas Raider, was getting all these. He said, no, I'm on the other coast. I'm on the West Coast. That was on the East Coast. I'm not the guy that got assaulted in the Walmart. So, you football players out there, you NFL guys, for one thing, this is a little public service announcement. Be careful on who you walk up onto. Like Pat McAfee put it, he put it pretty well. He says the way these people, the popularity of MMA now, it's best not to get in an old school, bar fight, because you may get hurt really bad and you may get killed. I don't condone fighting, not unless it's in the realm of sport or in total self-defense. I say that because Aaron Donald could get suspended for a game or two. And with this division, the NFC West, who the Rams have traded for Matt Stafford, and this Ram team, Aaron Donald's a 3-time Defensive Player of the Year. If he didn't play another down, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer on the week that Julian Edelman retired. He is a first ballot Hall of Famer. With the addition of the Seattle Seahawks, by the way, I like their offseason, signing Aldon Smith. The Rams are a different team without Aaron Donald, even if it's just 1 or 2 games that he catches suspension for. Now, listen, he may very well not be suspended at all. But as tight as this division is, the NFC West, that one game could be the difference in winning and losing that division. It is a hotly, hotly contested division. Remember, the Arizona made tremendous upgrades. They got a Pro Bowl level center from the Raiders, and they've also got J.J. Watt on the defensive side of the ball. So you look at that, and again, as much as I've been down on this Seattle team, I have to give Pete Carroll, and I think his name is John Schneider, credit. They signed Aldon Smith, and my thing is, I don't know why Dallas let him go. But that is something, going back there in Donald, we got to keep an eye on. He's a big-time player. This story got swept under the rug because there's so much other stuff going on right now. But that's something to keep an eye on. I think it's very serious. Now, Seahawks signed today Aldon Smith, veteran defensive end, played against Seattle for a number of years with the 49ers. But last year he played with Dallas. And you know what? He started, think about this, been missing for 4 years. He came back and played all 16 games for Dallas, Carlos. He had 48 tackles and 5 sacks on a team that was down early in games where teams were running the football. And he still got 5 sacks and 48 tackles. So, you know what? I've thrown this Seattle team under the bus. But listen to what they've done. They signed Witherspoon at cornerback. That's an upgrade. Their biggest upgrade was a trade with the Raiders. Right guard Gabe Jackson. They signed today Aldon Smith. And my favorite, other than Gabe Jackson, would be Gerald Everett. Very athletic. Remember, this guy, the Seattle tight ends was a guy coming off a really bad injury. And Greg Olsen, who just recently retired, had been washed up. So now they got Gerald Everett, very athletic guy, could set the world on fire in Seattle. Now, they did bring back Chris Carlson, who's often hurt, and they re-signed Carlos Dunlap and brought back Demarius Randall. I'm not in love with that Randall pick, but they brought in Alex Collins. Now, me personally, I would draft another running back to help out. Carlson's a great guy. He's a great running back. I don't know about a great guy. He's a great running back when he's healthy. He's been hurt a lot because I think he plays too physical, takes too many hits. So Seattle's got a second-round pick left. They go out and get a running back. They got a clean shot to win this division, especially, not to beat a head-dealt horse, if Aaron Donald gets a game or two suspended. He's got great hands. That Ram team, they just had a better tight end. They're a little bit deep in that area. And they did a good job drafting. I have to give the Rams that. But in other news, Jadeveon Clowney's officially a Cleveland Brown. Now, Clowney, that was a very team-friendly 1-year contract, can be worth up to $10 million. Last year for Tennessee, it was up to $15 million. I think teams have lowered the ceiling so much on Clowney that now he's pretty much a bargain. And like I said the other day, you put him with Garrett and Malik Jackson, one of the most underrated players in all the NFL. It says up to $10 million, Pickles. That means he'll have to hit some incentives to get that, which means, put up or shut up, Clowney. This is a loaded team. If they had a weakness on defense, I would say linebacker. If you could make a move, if you're a Cleveland Brown fan, if you can make a move and get a Micah Parsons from Penn State, that would be great. That's not going to happen. I mean, he's a top 10 talent. I think he'll probably go Michael Parsons, Penn State linebacker. Some are saying the best defensive player in the draft. I think he may go 8th to Carolina. That's just me. Yeah, so performance bonus for Clowney. He's officially a Cleveland Brown. So Cleveland finally wins something. Okay, running right along here. In other former NFL news, thank you, Carlos, by the way, my friend here. TSU has now hired former running back, NFL All-Pro, Heisman Trophy winner running back, Eddie George, Tennessee State University. Jeff Fisher has taken over as a advisory commission board position with Eddie George. And Eddie George has brought in Fisher's son to be defensive coordinator. And he talked in Hugh Jackson to be the offensive coordinator. Yes, the former Browns head coach, the former offensive coordinator. So this is going to be a story. This is a small school. It's an HBC like Jackson State with Dion, but that's going to help recruiting. And, Hugh Jackson's made a lot of money being a coach and a head coach and a coordinator. It seemed like he was delighted to be fired from Cleveland because his money was guaranteed. But I think that's going to be a very interesting OVC. Very interesting stuff. Staying in the college game, folks. Staying in the college game. Okay, there was two big stories here. Number one, the likeness story is coming into effect, and transfer story. Let me play this soundbite from a guy that I don't care too much for him, but he does make players money. I don't like the fact that he used to advise players. I don't think he does that anymore. I'm talking about Drew Rosenhaus, NFL super agent. He made this comment on, I think it was Colin Cowherd's podcast, and he's probably said this everywhere, about getting college players endorsements. Listen up.
Get ready. College football and amateurism is going to become professional football. We're going to be, getting after it. We're going to recruit all of the top college players with marketing deals, and this is going to be the wave of the future. Every top college player is going to be inundated with marketing opportunities from agents like myself. Colleges are going to have to embrace the NIL because they're going to need to use it in recruiting. If a program has alumni that can bring endorsement deals to players, they're going to get
okay. Let me change out my
deals.
Let me change out my podcast real quick. Stand by. All right, I'm back. So that was Drew Rosenhaus. Also, that was on Tuesday. Wednesday. Now as soon as this year, I want to say that the the NCAA, and it may be the start of next season, but either way, this is going to be the future. There is no longer a year-long wait for players in college basketball nor college football. There is no more year layoff. They can transfer one time to another school. They can transfer one time. The biggest thing about this is who this helps more than anything. This helps teams like the University of Tennessee. This helps teams like Arkansas, University of Arkansas, Tennessee, Auburn, South Carolina. Why did I name those schools? Because they're a radius of Alabama, LSU, Georgia, Florida, Clemson. Because those are teams that are loaded and sometimes overstocked with talent, and these guys can switch over, go from one semester right to the next and get right on. No waivers or nothing. No senior trans. Don't have to do none of that. Don't have to. You can go from right from Alabama to Auburn if you want to. That's one time. And now these guys are going to be able to get endorsement deals. Okay? Now, what does this mean for basketball? This could be a huge, huge blessing for college basketball. We've been talking about Overtime Elite, which is the top high school students in the country being able to get paid from 16 to 18 in this league up to $100,000 a piece. But check this out. Adam Silver could have a gold mine right here. He could say, get with his team, get with the player association officials and say, you know what? Now that players are being able to transfer when they want to, at least one time, now that they can, now that players can get these massive endorsement deals, guys like Drew Rosenhaus, I could see these college guys getting college wear, stuff like that for college kids, pizza commercials. College kids love pizza commercials, car lots, all kinds of stuff. But what this could do is keep kids in college. And going back to Adam Silver of the NBA, maybe he can sell this to all the powers to be to make that age limit in the NBA 3 years out of high school versus what it is now, which is one and done. Now, this is a long shot, but it is food for thought. It is food for thought. You're not going to get the kind of marketing. Now, I told you guys that I'm okay with what's going on now because I think that you should be able to go out and make as much money as you can as soon as you can. That being said, it's building the G League is what the NBA has now. It's going to take years and years to get the market, to get the audiences to watch it and be loyal, to make it appointment TV like we do the NBA playoffs, like we do the NFL playoffs, like we watch March Madness, like we watch the big-time championship college football games, like we watch the Saturday night football games in college, the big games. So my point is, wouldn't it be nice, Pickles, if you had it at 21, where these kids, these top prospects are getting their own MasterCard commercials, American Express commercials, car commercials, McDonald's commercials, vitamin commercials, tailor-made suit commercials. It's good for the players who come up just short. It's good for the players who get a major injury in college and they just don't cut it in the NBA or NFL, whatnot. What if they make a few $1 million off of that last endorsement deal before that major injury where they do not get to play professional ball? Now, this is going to make the coaches pull their hair out, but like Nick Saban's, your Nick Sabans of the world, your Dabos of the world, everybody will adjust and overcome, just like we do for everything. COVID, virus, you name it, folks. We will adapt and we will overcome. Speaking of Nick Saban, it'll change the NCAA, but we'll get over it. As a society, I used to worry about change, Carlos. I used to worry about people making unprecedented moves. If it don't work, it'll fade. But I think it's something that should have happened before anyways. It really is. It's something that just should have happened. I should always be able to capitalize on my likeness. The deal with me and this university, if I'm a player, I provide my services to play for your team. You pay for my education. That's it. If you don't want me to use your logo in a commercial, I get it. But you don't own my skin and flesh. You don't own this body likeness. You don't own that. That's me. That's my own likeness, So, but speaking of grudges, and there was a Nick Saban talks about, I think it was at his wife's high school reunion. He's telling this story this past week. And I don't know if you guys heard this, but I'm going to play this soundbite. And it goes to greatness and memory of, it goes to greatness and memory of hardship that some of these great coaches have. And I got a few stories to back that up too. Listen to Nick Saban talking about his wife. If she would have chosen him, Nick Saban went back to his wife's high school reunion and tried to brag about how much better he'd done than the old boyfriend when they were in 7th grade. Listen to this.
Yeah. They had a homecoming day for Nick Saban. And all the guys I went to high school with and all the people, the family, came to it. It was a big deal. And it was wonderful. It really was. But when I was a kid growing up, my dad owned a service station. And we lived in the country. And my wife, I tried to date from the time I was in the 7th grade, she would never, ever date me. Never, ever go out with me. She had this guy named Mickey Schaefer that she was always boyfriend.
Remember the guy's name, Mickey Schaefer.
She went to East Fairmont. She was the queen bee, the drum majorette and all that stuff. And, I just could not get a date. And here I am, the country bumpkin out here, pumping gas every day. And in those days, it's full service now. It's not like today. Somebody comes in, pumps your own gas, you collect the money. You had to clean the windows, check the oil, change tires, mufflers, grease cars. I was filthy, dirty, black fingernails all the time. Could never get a date. So finally, when I got in high school, we were pretty good. We were just a class AA school. She went to a big AAA school, and we always played them, and we beat them like a drum. But she finally noticed me. And I finally got a date. And she had dated this Mickey Schaefer guy for like 6 years. So when we go back for this reunion, lo and behold, Mickey Schaefer owns a service station.
Tables turn.
And Terry and I have been married for 42 years, so however many that was minus 5. So I said, I am not going to miss the opportunity to do a drive-by. Just to make sure she kind of knows how she picked. So we drive by Mickey Schaefer service station, and I said, see there, honey? There's your boy, Mickey Schaefer. I said, if you'd have married him, that's where you'd be now. She said, bullshit, if I'd have married him, he'd be the head coach at Alabama now.
She said, if I'd married him, he'd have been the head coach at Alabama. That was 47 years ago that he had started chasing his future to be wife. And he still remembers the guy's name. Now, Nick Saban, I know I was a long soundbite and apologize about the commercial. Nick Saban is from West Virginia, the country in West Virginia. So was Jerry West, the logo. Jerry West said that one day he was a kid. He'd been playing basketball all day at this gym, and he would walk the same way home, same way to the gym, same way home, same way to the gym every day. He had a routine, kind of like myself, very routine. And he was walking home one day, and, you know, West Virginia is very country, and your voice travels because it's not a lot of people. And he said he overheard an older couple saying, this guy is never going to amount to anything because he played, he just played basketball all the time. He was too caught up in the basketball. And he says, I never, ever forgot that. I never forgot that. And I'm sure he can tell me exactly, me or you, exactly where he was living at, the exact house, the exact date that happened. Michael Jordan brought the guy that the team cut over him. He brought that guy to his Hall of Fame speech 30 years later. He brought him to the Hall of Fame speech. It may have been over. I can't remember how many years back. But it was a sophomore in high school. And this guy was pretty tall, you know. Brought him back all them years later. But my point is, what may be hurtful and rigid and that goes deep within you, that may be the best thing that ever happened to you. That is, Charles Barkley said he played so hard at Auburn and at Philadelphia with such attitude. For you younger listeners, he spit on a player one time. Charles Barkley was really on the edge when he was in Philadelphia. And he says that anger came from me failing Spanish class in my senior year, and I could not walk with my class. And I said, I will be more successful than anybody in this class, bar none. That I cannot believe this woman failed me. I will outdo these people. He said he played with that anger and that chip on his shoulder time and time again. And he never forgot that. He never, ever forgot that. And I tell you what, and I've mentioned this before the other day, there's a few people, and you know exactly who you are, who's mocked me in the past. When I was a kid, I ain't forgot it. I forgive you, but I ain't never forgot. And I'm going to call you out when I make it big. You know, I know who you are, and you know who you are. But people in embarrassment, humiliation, we talk about Tom Brady. He knows every single player that's picked ahead of him. Get over it, man. You've won 7 Super Bowls, and it's still not enough. Steve Spurrier, Tennessee would not recruit him because he wanted to throw the ball all over the place. He's from East Tennessee. And Florida. Nah, it wasn't you, Carlos. You the man. But people know. There's some people I used to work with. And I'll keep it at that. I'll just keep it. They'll know. When I get that big contract, they'll know. But I tell you what, man. That Rudy. Same thing with Rudy. People mocked him. Even Joe Montana. Joe Montana was on that team with Rudy. He even mocked Rudy Rudiger after the fact. He was on that Notre Dame team. Rudy had no athletic ability. He's a dirt poor family. And he had dyslexic. And he says, I just hung around. I blocked those people out, but I never forgot who they were. I never forgot it. He's a very successful guy. You know, it took him 10 years to get that movie off the ground. 10 years after the college. Forget about getting through Notre Dame. All that stuff was true, except for the fact that he didn't sleep in the football stadium. He slept in the gymnasium. But the black guy, the guy that plays Rock Live, I forgot his real name, the janitor, was just a series of people that helped him. It was never that one. But everything else, a few small details about the jerseys, that wasn't true. The coach not wanting him to play that last game. That coach said that was not true. We did want him to play. He did play his guts out, but he never forgot that stuff, man. He never. And Nick Saban, that is a great story. Now it was funny at the end. He said if his wife would have married the other guy, he would have been the coach of Alabama. But he still wanted to call that guy's name by name. Yeah, Joe Theismann backed up Montana. Brady was a backup for 3 years in college. He was a backup he didn't start. The reason why he was a backup for 3 years in college, Brady, was because that he was didn't start playing till high school. He didn't play. Hey, Kenny, good to see you. Good to see you, Kenny. I was just telling old war stories. You were one that was talking to a friend Carlos here. Guys that could see the screen here. Kenny Dobson's a guy who moved up to New York with me back in November of 2001. And we stayed there from 2001 from November to around August of 2002. No, Pickles, that was not Brian Greasy. I stand corrected. I said that. It was a guy named Drew Hansen. Greasy was just a year ahead of that. I thought it was Greasy, but it was a guy named Drew Hansen. Now Greasy may have been there maybe his freshman year, but Drew Hansen was the guy. Drew Hansen thought that since he beat out Brady in college, that he can beat him out in the pros. Remember, he went to Dallas and he did not beat out nobody. There's a lot of work behind all that stuff. A lot of work. Yeah, he went to Dallas and didn't cut it. Ask Parcells. I don't know how I know all this stuff, guys. Let me see if there's anything else to cover. But I just love that Nick Saban story. I hate that was a long monologue there. Oh, LaMarcus Aldridge. Okay. LaMarcus Aldridge's sudden retirement. It was supposed to have been to an irregular heartbeat. Now, this came out of nowhere. Now, why would you mention having a irregular heartbeat, something like that in the middle of the season? Usually that would get found out during the physical at the beginning of the season. But I do know that there was another player that played with the Heat that had to retire early. He had a similar kind of condition. My thing is, yeah, maybe he can play in the Big Three league. I don't know. But I tell you what, Aldridge, I think, this is just me, I think that he looked so bad against Andre Drummond on Saturday night that he had a moment. Yeah, Tennessee, they did pick second in recruiting basketball. Still early, Kenny, still early. But my point is that Aldridge looked so bad last Saturday against Drummond. It took me back to Pete Sampras. Pete Sampras in 2002 played a guy named Roger Federer, an unknown for Sweden, that consistently returned his ace, his 125 mile per hour Wimbledon serve. And not too long after that, Pete Sampras retired. Maybe call it a coincidence. I don't know. Kenny, you need to hit me up sometime, man. We got to catch up on some laughs there. So my thing is, you say, why do you say it's a blessing in disguise? Well, You're going to have Irvin, Harden, Durant. You can use a few offensive liabilities for defensive purposes. DeAndre Jordan is a rim protector and a great defender. I know he can't shoot, but he don't need to shoot. When you've got that level of talent, you don't need him. And any other guy for that other wing, you can plug in anywhere. I don't care if it's they got Blake Griffin or whoever. I think they were overly stacked anyways. I think it'll be fine. This will be another opportunity to bring in Jordan because they're going to be forced to play DeAndre Jordan. And you can put Durant as far out there as you want him to go. Durant is a good defender when he wants to be. He is good to great defender, if you ask me. I think teams are – I know Colin Cowherd was dogging out this team, saying that their defense is bad. The only other defense to win a championship was the 2001 Lakers that was ranked 17th in the regular season, and they were close to 1 in the playoffs. Okay. What did I just say on here a few weeks ago? Defense is effort and it's communication. Effort, communication. Now, Kyrie couldn't play defense to save his life. But the other players on this team, I have seen flashes out of them. You know, I don't think they're going to be all world, but who else is going to beat these guys in a scoring match? Now, I'll tell you this, the Lakers have caught some breaks. I said that about Denver. If they play Denver in the first round, that's an easy 5-game series without Jamal Murray. Kyrie is not a very good defensive player. Now, Philadelphia, Carlos, I think that, and I said this on the Mac and Jack show. By the way, you can find me there, 7:30 a.m. Central Time Sunday morning. I'll be on there. It's the best part of the show when you got me on there. No, I'm kidding. Well, it is, but I shouldn't sound arrogant about it. But this Philadelphia and Brooklyn, that's going to be a great series. I mean, they are in their prime. They're not intimidated by Brooklyn. Doc Rivers is the right coach, Carlos, at the right time for this team. He's the right coach at the right time. Tobias Harris is playing great. It's going to be awesome. Now, the Clippers, since they've gotten Rondo, I don't think they've lost a game yet since they had Rondo. That was a 7 or 8 game winning streak. So that's going to be a good series. Part of what I would like to see, folks, would be this is selfish, I know, but I would like to see Lakers drop to 3 and play a 3 Clipper team. If somehow if Phoenix can hold on to that 2 or get to 2, and then you get Utah at 1 seed, I would love to see Clippers, Lakers, first round. No walk in the park for LeBron this time. The bubble was a walk in the park. It's good for players that are injured all the time and older players. That's LeBron, and then, of course, Anthony Davis. So, anyways, Alden Smith, Marcus Aldridge, Drew Rosenhaus, Laremy Tunsil. Oh, Kevin James. Now, if I'm Sean Payton, I would be very offended by this because Kevin James, the comedian, Kenny, of King of Queens, is not the skinniest guy in the world. There is a movie coming out on Netflix where Kevin James plays New Orleans Saints Sean Payton in a movie about Bountygate suspension for Payton, and he was coaching his son's team. I'm going to see it's going to be on Netflix. I bet it's going to be pretty good. I like Kevin James. But if I'm Sean Payton, I'm like, hey, look, I'm not that fat, okay? Why didn't you get a skinnier player, a skinnier guy to – and it did not look like Sean at all. I mean, I know sometimes his face looks a little fatter. It looks like he's got dip in his mouth or something, some kind of chewing gum. I don't know the way he does his face, but it does kind of look like Kevin James' normal face because he's just kind of a fat guy. He's funny. I love King of Queens. And I love Kevin James. I don't know if I'd say it to his face. He's a pretty strong guy. But anyways, guys, you like the show, share the show. You want to contribute to the program. This stuff takes time, money, and effort. Go to the ZELLE app, and you can contribute to this sports, the word sports, SportsSkope @gmail.com. You can send that in. All contributions will be greatly appreciated, and we will eventually get that Patreon account set up, and I'm looking to get some advertisers, like maybe get a sponsor for a suit or something like that. So we'll put that out this weekend. A lot of stuff I've been working on behind the scenes. Really appreciate that, everybody. Yeah, Carlos says that Kevin James played college football. Now, he might have played college football, but it's probably pretty good. Thank you, Kathy. And thank you, Kathy, again, for contributing to the program. I really, really appreciate that. I do not take any other viewers for granted. Have a good night, everybody. And by the way, 2 weeks from tonight, we will be having the draft. I will be on the Back and Jack. I guess it'll be live on their sports streaming network there. Back and Jack draft special around this time 2 weeks from now. I'm very much looking forward to it. So wanted to make that quick announcement. Again, I will be on their show 7:30 a.m. Central Time on the Mac and Jack Show. You can find them on the Northeast Streaming YouTube channel or Facebook, Mac and Jack. Have a good one, everybody. I'll see you Tuesday on my program at around 9 p.m. Central Time here on SportsSkope.